course was that the students had to design relief shelter or intermittent shelter for third world countries, basically disaster, we call it disaster relief, so that they had to go in and they had to look at the cultural aspects of the different regions around the world. So each team picked a different region in the world that were prone to either natural disasters or war conflicts. So they had an unstable environment. So they came in, they had 400 square feet of space, they had a 5,000 price point, they had to bring in other technologies like water collection and storage, and also because that a lot of these places that the people's their annual income, they're spending half of their annual income, which is on the average was $250 a year on kerosene for lighting. So we tried to bring in, embed into the designs that they would have some of these other technologies that don't really cost that much money nowadays. And another thing that we were looking at is that it had to be collapsible, so RTA, ready to assemble, so that they would then be able to go into an ISO container that would then be built here, designed here in an automated facility, because we're talking about a very low price point, $5,000 for 400 square feet, and we were trying to, you know, put all the labor and everything like that. So it was a very tall order, you know, for the students to try to achieve. And being that, of course, they aren't architect-based students or engineers, so they really, you know, it was a challenge for them, but they responded really, and I'm really proud of what they came up with, and the school is really proud of what they came up with.
And we heard something about how in the past, houses in Canada used to be made this way, sort of how that's developed.
Yeah, prefabrication has been, like for example, Sears Roebuck, so they were doing prefabricated houses in the 20s, and it's been something that's been around for a long time, but there is certainly, in the recent sort of 5 years, I would say there's been a surge in interest in prefabricated sort of housing. The challenge is most people see it as it's more contemporary people, you know, or it's not mainstream yet, and I guess that's been somewhat the challenge, that normally people that buy prefabricated houses are more contemporary, they like modern architecture. So that was one of the things we were looking at this, is that even if there's aesthetics that we were looking at, that we wanted these to be very culturally sensitive and people would respond to the house, because in most projects that we researched, it was a all for one, or one package fits all. And we really tried to make ours the people, the big thing, that if they would respond and would enjoy living in these structures, that then our project was successful. So that was one of the big criteria, is that it did have to be specific to that cultural condition and the environmental condition. So that was paramount.
So what's the next step? Is they getting a relief agency on board to finance these?
I guess the next is actually either getting a relief agency or getting possibly some funding from FIA, which is Forced Investment Initiative, which would be like some, which is derived from stumpage fees from the BC, whatever, some government-based organization or non-government-based organization to then take, for us to take this project from where it is now in an academic sort of realm of things into a more sort of commercial realm. So we would have to do probably a feasibility study and a cost analysis and really see where we can take it, and then do some prototypes, do a couple of prototypes as I was mentioning, and get them out and get them some exposure and get a public dialogue going. And so we see this as the spark of the beginning of a fire to start to try and change, because I mean you're all I think aware of the blue pine. We have a lot of wood that we got to do something with very, very quickly. So this would be a great example of how we can use not just our materials but our technology, because Canada is a world leader when it comes to stick frame construction or this kind of construction method. So rather than giving just a tiny bit of money in any kind of like world disaster relief, we can actually give technology, and we'll get a lot more press to boot, because we're not just giving money, we're giving actually houses, and we're giving people, you know, shelter.
Perfect. That is perfect.
Okay, good.
You're done.
Blanket. Some resourceful students at UBC are finding ways to use wood that might otherwise go to waste as a means to help people without homes.
This is a project from our class. Third-year industrial design students got together with UBC students from the Center for Advanced Wood Processing, and we designed prefab shelters for disaster relief and people who are displaced across the world.
The students are looking for ways to use the extra wood being cut down due to BC's mountain pine beetle infestation. Each 400 square foot house is designed to cost less than $5,000 and can be put together with basic tools. In all, the students came up with 5 designs for use in different climates and for specific cultural needs.
Whereas other projects might have been placed in one spot for 5-10 years as a transitional shelter, so they can live in that structure and build their own structure. But ours is more of a tent-like structure that people can carry around, disassemble, assemble.
And you can get a close look at the 5 designs from 10 until 6 daily until June 24th at the Emily Carr Institute on Granville Island, 8:06 on this Monday morning. Here's Dawn.